Hello and welcome everyone.
Guten Tag, meine Fiends.
Thank you for joining us for episode 8 of GuildGab. This is a show where we talk all about everything and anything Guild Wars 2. I am
Yes,
AuroraPeachy.
and I am Akasaurus Rex.
And today we've got just a little tiny bit of brand new news. There's a couple new items in the gem store. We're still looking forward to next Tuesday. We've got the feature patch coming up, and that is only a week away, less than a week away now. So, so excited! That's gonna be
Finally.
so awesome. But because we don't have too much brand new to talk about, I put out a call on Twitter and Facebook for you guys to give us questions. Just anything having to do with Guild Wars 2 or not having to do with Guild Wars 2. And you guys most certainly answered the call. Thank you so much to everyone who gave us questions, and we have some great ones. But before we get into those, you know what? First of all, how was your week, Ak? How you been?
Good, good. I mean, yeah, there's not a lot of news for us to really talk about Guild Wars and Tuesians, so I guess it's just mostly kind of talking about the game
Yes.
and the questions. I've been falling in love with the Mesmer class because
Cool.
the fun thing about it that I found with Guild Wars 2 was that when I've been playing classes or professions, was that there's a lot of times where I don't realize or haven't tried out all of the weapon skills, and because of that, I often miss out on some really cool weapon abilities. Like for a long time, I didn't realize elementalists could use the daggers and could breathe fire,
Yeah.
which when I found that out, I was like, ugh! And then again with Mesmers, I always loved the great sword, which I thought was really cool. But then I said,
Hmm.
yeah, they can use swords,
They can use
You
swords
know.
and pistols, and yeah,
So then
that's
yeah,
cool when classes that you wouldn't think, like you would not think a mesmer could use a great sword. You wouldn't think that an
yeah.
elementalist could use daggers. Like, but they're and I elementalist daggers is really fun.
Yeah, and because when I was trying out like the Mesmer sword and pistol, the thing I loved about it was that I like got some good melee attacks, but then I also had some decent uh distance stuff too. And I really love purple is one of my favorite colors, so having like purple energy effects on your weapons was really kind of cool, especially with your sword, which is one of the things that I often miss with like just a warrior kind of thing is that there's none of these cool energy effects because you're
Mm.
just like warriors where you're just whacking things with stuff, and so I kind of missed that. And um, yeah, and of course the great sword, the cool thing, the great sword. I really wish the other uh, clothy light armor ones would have great swords as well because like using that great sword and blasting like a laser beam out of it is just so
Yeah.
He-Man, so
And they
wonderfully
don't even
He-Man
touch it
that
when they use the great sword. Like it just like they put out their hands and it like hovers in the middle of their hands, and then they grab it and then it hovers and they put it out. It's cool. It's a really cool animation.
And there's that really awesome like number 5 skill when you sweep your sword and there's a huge like area energy blast that knocks people
Hmm.
back. And it's very
I haven't
satisfying.
used great sword on my mesmer for a while. I should check that out again. I've been using staff, switching between staff for a lot of condition damage, and
I,
then when I want to go close, I use sword pistol. I love the pistol phantasm. You summon it and it just like
yes,
shoots. It has double pistols and just shoots off a bunch of rounds real fast, and
yes,
it's
that's
just
so
cool.
satisfying.
And the
Especially when you're like fighting a particularly like large health enemy or something, and you start getting like tons of like pistol phantasms up. And it's like this is so cool. So you got like 4 pistols going, and then you have
Well,
like
I believe you could
another
only have
phantasm going
one
through.
phantasm at a time, and then but you could have clones, I believe, that also then have the pistol. I'm not a mesmer expert, but I think you can only have one
Probably.
phantasm at a time,
Well, yeah,
and then
like
two clones.
I I guess it must have been clones because I'm pretty sure I had at least 2 or 3 clones or whatever, like
But if
shooting
you
things
have a
out.
pistol, then your clone will also have a pistol.
Yeah,
So technically, you could have 5 pistols, including yourself.
Yeah,
Mesmer
so
stuff. Someone can
it was
correct us
pretty
if
awesome.
they know more about Mesmer than we do.
I kind of want to wait until the patch comes out, the features patch, before I keep playing the game anymore, because it's kind of like I want to wait, you know. It's like I like know all these quality of life features are coming out, and it's like I'd
I
rather just
know.
wait, you
I
know.
know. I keep like
Well,
every time I like dye my armor or do anything with dyes or changing. Well, I haven't really changed my skins lately because I'm waiting, but you know, I I just keep thinking about that. I'm like, I have so many more dyes on the way. You know, in 1 week I'm gonna have this character is gonna have
yeah.
way more dyes to choose from. And even last night, I was in ore, running around getting my orichalcum and elder logs, and one of the karma merchants, because one of the dailies was to spend karma,
Right.
and there's a karma merchant that in ore that has, I think, really cool skins for the heavy not so much, but the medium and the lights are really cool. I really want the light on my necromancer because it's like got bones and stuff on it, and
Cool.
so I really want that on my necro, and I was gonna have to wait until I got to level 80 to get this on my necro. So I'm working on leveling up my necro. Well, I had my level 80 go and buy those 3 armors because I know that next week I'm going to be able to put them in the wardrobe.
Mm.
This is another question. I forget if I brought this up last week or not about the wardrobe, but one thing is exactly what I just said. My level 80 went into ore and got a level 80 armor that is going to go in my wardrobe. Now, that's a level 80 armor, that's a level 80 skin.
Yeah.
Is my level 49 going to be able to just go in the wardrobe and use transmutation charges and get that skin? It's supposed to be for a level 80. Like, doesn't that take away some of the magic of as you level up, you get fancier and fancier armor? You know?
I don't know. Well, no. I mean,
I mean, there's
I
ways
mean,
to do it right
that's
now, so it's not like it's impossible to get a high level armor on a low level character. With the transmutation system, there's always been a way to do it, but I don't know
yeah.
if I mean, it does make things more fun because if you don't want to wait till level 80 to get your character how you want them to look, if you have your heart set on a level 80 armor, you know, then you play through all these levels 1 to 80 in an armor you hate, and then once you get level 80, you get the armor skin you finally want, you look awesome, and then what if you don't play that character?
Yeah, because like the main thing too is like with like people that can argue stuff like, well, doesn't it take like the allure out of the game or something to do that like with like level boosting? Some people can be really freaked out about it because they're like, oh, it's all these noobs that are level boosting, and it's like, well, level boosting is I never saw it as something mostly for new players. It's really something for old players that have been playing forever and that have like an army of alts and do not want to level up through 80, 100 levels
Mm-hmm.
again because they've
Mm-hmm.
done it like 60 billion times. So they'll pay whatever it needs to just boost up.
Right.
And and of course the nice thing with Guild Wars 2 is that they've tried to make the gear treadmill more horizontal so that they they really want to cut off this idea that the game starts at level 80 or end game,
Hmm.
which is like the old mentality. So because they're doing that, I find that especially in a game like Guild Wars 2, allowing yourself to equip gear that you get at level 80 onto your level 15 character isn't quite such a bad deal because like when the true kind of end game stuff in this game, like what I consider the living story comes out, your level 80 or your level 15 character can both play that,
Mm-hmm.
like to different degrees of success, but they can both play it so and enjoy it. So like, and since the only way to get level 80 armor is for you to actually reach level 80 armor, you've already proven that you can get it.
That's
so
true.
it's not like you're
That's true.
cheating, right?
Real quickly, let's mention that there's a couple new items in the gem store this week. There is a drum instrument that has some really cool recording and playback and looping features this time. It's not simply just, push the buttons and play the notes like it is. Obviously, it's still that, but you can actually record the notes that you play and then like play them back and loop them and then play. I think you can play maybe you can't play another instrument. I don't know. I don't have any of the instruments, so I'm not even quite sure how they work. But it's a really, really cool potential for people to make some really cool songs and stuff for this. So for those of you that like to compose and are musically inclined, that is definitely not myself, you have some really cool stuff to play with now. So that's one thing. And the other thing is another new set of minis. It is the avian bird minis. I think it's the snow owl, the raven, and the hawk. Maybe
it's hinting that the Tengu are eventually going to come.
I don't know if you put the three of them in the Mystic Forge, if you get anything. I don't think so this time.
That sounds so cruel. Just hearing that. Just
throw these creatures into the Mystic Forge. I'm
gonna put these poor birds into the Mystic Forge. Just see them screaming. Throw the snowy owl and the raven and the hawk.
Yeah.
Grabbing these birds, squawk.
But they're cool. I think we mentioned this last week. I love the animations on the birds. Like as you move, they get up and fly and then they land. They're exactly the same as the ranger pets, just smaller, just mini pet versions. So the one thing that is really cool is that if you're a ranger, you could have like 2 snow owls following you or 2 ravens.
Right.
My Sailor Moon fangirlness said, what if I could be Sailor Mars and have 2 ravens following me? That would be awesome.
That's a good point, actually, to have like multiple birds following. It's always kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. So that's cute. So there's those. And I think that was it for the actual new items. But they have some sales right now. I believe just today, Wednesday, as we're recording this, character slots are 20% off. So if you want some character slots, now's the time.
And the actual game is still
the actual game.
Off,
that's the other
it?
thing. Yes, as you can see, we've got the offer down here right now up till the 13th. You can get Guild Wars 2 for 50% off, so you can get it for $24.99. The whole game, everything.
Which is like 2 months of subscription fees for sub games.
Yeah, less than 2 months of subscription fees of other games. You can get Guild Wars 2 forever.
Never, never, never. You can get non-stop seasons. Amazing, because
free updates.
It like really feels
free
like
content.
Now on these seasons are going to be a lot more engaging and interesting.
I think they learned a lot in season 1.
Yeah, considering that we're not paying a sub fee for this, it's pretty awesome getting all that. Because you pay for the game, you get all the stuff that's there already from 1 to 80, but then you're getting all this free content monthly that's coming up. That's like you're not paying for it, so it's pretty cool. I mean, it's
very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone watching this does not have the game already, but I'm sure there are some children and significant others and maybe brothers and sisters or friends that don't have the games. Grandmas.
Grandpas. They play this stuff too. So. I've heard about people in like old folks' homes that have like World of Warcraft accounts, which sounds adorable and awesome. Hey, let's do pyro. You're not doing pyro blast, damn it! Get off my back. I have 3 stacks of weight. Yeah, it'd be awesome.
That is great. We love gamers of all ages because we will be that age someday.
We will be in another 30 years. We'll be into our 60s, and we'll still be doing this kind of. Hey, remember when Guild Wars 2 first came out? That's when I first met you. Yeah.
Now we have Guild Wars 8.
And my beard will be graying down to here. And
To go along with that, the in the gem store, this is the cheapest I've ever seen. This is the digital deluxe version. If you didn't buy the digital deluxe when you got the game, that is only 1,000 gems right now in the gem store. That's the cheapest I've ever seen it. So if you have ever been interested in the digital deluxe version and all the little goodies you get with that, including a Ritlock miniature, that is 1,000 gems in the gem store right now.
Feels like they're kind of just building up hype to the release of the big patchy.
They are building up a lot of hype. Yeah, I have a friend who saw the 50% off and bought it, and he said he made a thief and he started playing, and he said that he's having a ton of fun, at the low levels. And I was like, just wait.
Yeah,
I'm like, if you're having fun
now,
you're gonna have a lot of fun in a week. It's gonna be completely different.
Do you want to move on to the questions?
Yes, let us move on to the questions, because we have quite a few that will incite quite a bit of discussion. Our very first question, the very first question I got, was from Bog Otter. Richie Procopio sent us a question. Yay!
Everyone clap for Richie. Hooray!
If you're watching my videos and you haven't seen Bog Otter's videos, I don't know, you must not browse YouTube at all. So if you haven't seen his videos, go find
He's
him.
like the coolest dad in the world. He's like got two sons of him, and
he has 2 sons.
Sometimes brings them on.
Yeah, he has them play WildStar and Guild Wars 2. And so Richie gave us a great question. A tough one, too. Okay.
Yeah.
If you could be any NPC in the Guild Wars 2 universe and live their life, who would you choose and why?
Would you like to go first? Ladies first?
I have been thinking about this like all day, and I have not come up with a decisive answer because unfortunately, still, all of the... Well, see, my favorite NPC in the Guild Wars universe is, of course, Gwen Thackeray. I would never want to live her life, though, even though it had a happy ending, because, we saw her as a child in Ascalon. Her home and her family got destroyed. She was kidnapped by the Char, which is why I hold a grudge against the Char, and basically had a horrible life until she got out and became a captain of the Eben Vanguard, and married Karen, and I'm fangirling over her. But I'm sorry, that's not Guild Wars 2, and I would not want to be her, unfortunately.
Well, it's in Guild Wars universe, so I think I can...
Right.
Work.
If I had to pick one, I would pick Traherne, because then I could take all the credit for everything. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm gonna cop out. I could not think of like a specific named NPC. Like if I had a list that I could go through, maybe I could pick one.
Oh, just pick one. Just
they all have.
You're on the spot.
No,
now.
listen.
One.
Listen.
Just pick one.
Listen.
Now.
They all have such grim backstories. Like either their families got murdered or they've been. I do not want that life. No, I would not want to live their life. Okay, if I had to absolutely choose a specific character, I guess Queen Jenna. I don't know her. I mean, she's a very powerful mesmer. Obviously she's the Queen of Kryta, but she's the only one. This is so sad. She's the only one that I can think of that doesn't have, that we know of, a tragic backstory.
Yeah, but this is all about fantasy. Just choosing one that you like, because all of them have tragic backstories.
Yeah, I know.
Kind of cliche to most stories. Like, I'm so troubled and disturbed.
Okay, I'd probably pick Queen Jenna because
you just want to be a queen.
She lives in the life of luxury, and she's a powerful mesmer, and she gets to travel around, and she's got a little pet Logan to order around.
Yeah, that's what
and she doesn't have to commit to anything, because he obviously don't care. He ain't getting any, and he don't care. He's still her puppy dog.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna mention, because you've got a puppy, so therefore you can have a Logan puppy.
I was going to cop out and just say a Sylvari, because they're all into nature, and so I was just gonna say random Sylvari NPC over there.
But
But
they could all be sinisterly evil deep down. Deep down in their roots.
so there's my flippant answer. What about you? If you could be any NPC and live their life?
Well, it probably wouldn't be massively surprising, but it'd be a char. Most people would probably like say Ritlock Brimstone because he's such a badass and everyone loves Ritlock. But then I thought that'd be too easy. So I would be Smolder the Unflinching, the
Ooh.
the Imperator of the Iron Legion, because all the
Oh.
legions are led by an Imperator, which is the actual name of Emperor. 'Cause that's where the name Emperor comes from. Is Imperator. That's what the Romans called their Imperator.
Oh, okay.
That's where that comes from. But yeah, I would be Smolder the Unflinching. The neat thing too is that he's lost an eye. My eye here might as well be dead because it's got a drooping eyelid and it's really bad. I can't see out well out of it. So I have that kind of connection, and I like the idea that he's the administrating leader of the Iron Legion, and
Oh.
he's the neat thing too is because like when I looked for his backstory, he's the one who championed the peace treaty with the humans. So whereas like like Ritlock isn't, for instance, Ritlock's just Mr. Badass Tribune
Yeah.
guy who's Tribune. Smolder is the actual Imperator, and he's the one of the few char, and being an Imperator means he's got a lot of influence, can do this. He's the one who really supported the idea of a peace treaty with the humans. So he's one of the few char that has been pushing this forward for a peace with the humans. So I find that very fascinating, which means that he's a very different kind of char, is the way he's kind of described. So I find that very cool, and I like the idea of being in charge of legions of char. I would freaking, if I were Smolder the Unflinching with all the Scarlet nonsense, I would have freaking mobilized the Iron Legion. I would have had like an army of like char tanks and helicopters and stuff storming into like Lion's Arch and blowing the crap out of her. It's like, move out of the way, humans, and Norn, you're a bunch of little wimps. Just, we'll do it. Because like the char do have like flying machines. Do you remember that part?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Little
the zone.
airships.
Yeah, there's like a zone like just on the other side of the wall, and there's like this like scientist who's trying to get griffin feathers to make this helicopter, which then crashes. But it's kind of cute and funny. But she's like, "All right, I got the feathers," and she actually puts it into this little helicopter that goes like, oh, that failed. But yeah, I just like love the idea of all that stuff. So and the Iron Legion have a very kind of cool steampunk thing.
Mm-hmm.
Only they're giant clawed cat dudes with steampunk stuff. And I like Smolder. Yeah, so Smolder the Unflinching.
Yeah, I like that you came up with like an actual NPC that wasn't like, I want to be Ritlock Brimstone.
I know, because that would be like too easy. I mean, like, oh, Ritlock's popular. It's like, no,
Yeah.
I actually think about some actual characters, because
Yeah, that's
one of the
cool.
things-
Good job.
That's one of the things I love with this game is that like any of the races that you play as, those starting zones and the characters in it are really well developed, and there's a lot of characters in it, in all of the zones that you could like look into and
Yeah.
think about their backstories.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's really cool.
Well, it's good. You can be Smolder and I can be Queen Jenna, and we can make peace between the human and the char.
Oh, that'd be awesome. If you could be Jenna and I could be like Smolder, man, we'd be so badass. Awesome.
No, I'm feeling kind of embarrassed because, like, I know that, because I don't know anything about Queen Jenna, and I have a feeling that I'm gonna like go and look up Queen Jenna, and it's gonna be like her whole family was slaughtered, and she was brought to rule because she was the only one of her lineage left. And actually, that's sounding really familiar. I can't find the Queen Jenna article right now, but oh well.
Her hometown was slaughtered by the Black Knight of Cursivar, and then she was haunted for 30 years, and her sister betrayed her on her wedding day, and she had like a red wedding out of Game of Thrones.
Well, if that's the case, then I choose my random Sylvari. The Sylvari that runs the bank in the Grove.
the Savari in the grove who's saying, "Oh, I like trees."
I like trees. Have you been to
Really?
Lion's Arch?
Yeah, yeah. Have you been to the Nornlands? Yeah, I didn't like them. It's cold. Oh, okay. I'd like to drink some water. Yes. La 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 la. Oh, look, a char. Oh, they're neat.
All right, next question. Inks asked us, if there was only one new piece of content this year, what would it be? I'm going
That
to
was an odd
interpret this.
question.
I'm going to interpret this as if season 2 had one episode this year, what would you want it to be? Maybe that's not even the right way to word it. Like, if
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Like, if there was
If
one,
there was like one
new-
major event,
if there was
kind of thing.
one major update this year as far as story and content goes, what would you want it to be?
I'd want it to be Mordramoth, like something with Mordramoth coming, rising up and doing some spectacular, cool jungle dragon ness stuff. Other than that,
That's good.
Other than that, I want the gates of the Tengu to open and them riding on Tyrannosaurs. And
Don't lie. That's what you want even more than Mordramoth.
okay, it is. Yeah. Actually, I'm basically writing like my own fantasy fiction is sort of kind of like that. Essentially, dinosaurs riding dinosaurs and stuff. So I'll make it myself, since Arena obviously won't. I seriously doubt they're going to have them riding Tyrannosaurs, which would be the coolest thing in the world. They should, but I know they won't.
There were Hydras, basically like three-headed Tyrannosaurus Rexes, in Guild Wars 1, and they just kind of disappeared in Guild Wars 2, so...
I know, yeah. How about yourself?
I really, really like and agree with the, Mordramoth Rising. But my initial thought was that I would have the Zephyr Sanctum come back. It, comes and lands, and we actually get to learn more about the Zephyrites, and we get some kind of actual lore and answers about what they have to do with Glint. What are they protecting? Do they actually have like a Glint dragon egg, as as is hinted, or a baby dragon? Are they protecting that? What is their legacy? What that kind of thing. Just going more into the lore of what they have to do with with Glint and with the dragons, and why are they there? Why are they here? Why are they in the sky? Why are they doing what they're doing? And what are they protecting? And what is their purpose? I just want to learn more about the Zephyrites because they are fascinating to me.
I would agree.
Yes.
They are very fascinating, and like the whole motif of air civilizations. It's pretty cool. So, and like the way that they can like have an entire civilization in airships.
Yeah.
Because like with like the power from Glint's body, they can basically like grow their own vegetables and food and heat like their airships and everything, and fuel their airships.
Their whole airship is just
really cool.
so damn impressive. I just want to go there again and just marvel in it. It's just I love it so much. I miss it. I want it again. And
It's
that
like
would
a
give
really-
them an excuse. I'm sorry for cutting you off. That would give them an excuse also for, like I mentioned last time, if that's gonna be a yearly thing, well, how come they're coming back every year now? And whereas we hadn't seen them in hundreds of years, and now suddenly they're coming back every year. If there was some kind of lore, like I said, something that they needed help with, or there would have to be a reason that they're coming back already. And I think that reason could make for something very interesting and fun.
I would concur. Yeah,
Yes.
so I think it'd be very fascinating because it'd be it has a great summery feel. The Zephyrites, like when they released it last time, it of course was during like early summer, and it just their whole vibe has a wonderful summery feel, I find, to it. So that'd be a really fun thing about it, and I really do hope they do keep coming by every year in the summer. 'Cause it's just a wonderful thing to look forward to.
Yeah.
Is that sequence, and I totally agree. Like, really hope that they flesh them out more, so there's more stuff for us to do than just jumping puzzles. Like I'd love to have.
Oh, I hope that they do this
story
when it does come
instances.
back. I hope they do the sky crystals again. Just have them in different different spots maybe this time, so that it's
Yeah,
not
for
exactly the
sure.
same as last time. Because that was one of my favorite parts, was going through and finding all the sky crystals and figuring out how to traverse all of these things to get to the sky crystals, and that was so much fun. I really want to do that again.
That was pretty cool, especially when you like messed up and fell to your death. Which
Watching other
happens all the
people fall
time.
to their death. My
Ah!
favorite part was watching someone else go for. You see a crystal, you're not sure how to get to it, and you see someone else going for it, and they're trying to figure out how to get to it, and so you're sitting there watching them, and you're rooting them on because it's so, you are so high up in the air, and one wrong move and you are plummeting to your death, like certain death.
Yeah,
And
no.
so watching them, and you're rooting for them, and you're rooting for them, you're like, come on, you can do it, get it, get it, get it, get it. But then when they make that jump and they fall, and when there's a 1 second of and then as you watch them fall, you go, ha 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 ha, look at them fall.
Good old Schadenfreude. Mm.
Oh, it's so brilliant. I love that. That was my favorite.
I still find one of my favorite moments in the season one was on the edge of the mist when I went in there and I like literally like got in there, turned to the side, was hearing Timey, and Braun was like, "Oh, it's Timey!" It's like, "Oh, cool, I can." It's like fell down because there's like this like lots of space just to fall through.
There
And it was like
is. I've been in Edge of the Mists a couple
felt like a sec.
times, and I have come to hate it because they start you so far out, and to get to the battle, you have to just run and run and run and run and run across all of these bridges and stuff. And if you fall, or if you get, if someone, knocks you back off a ledge or fears you off a ledge, both of which have happened to me, then you have to go all the way back and start running all the way back again, and it's so annoying to get back into the battle and where people are. I have a very love-hate relationship with the mists.
Yeah, I've like been in it like twice.
Yeah.
I haven't gone back. I'm just not. Doesn't have much interest in it for me, I have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. John Coppola asks, he asks a couple questions. First of all, what level of fractals are you guys up to?
The lowest possible one. I've done one fractal run, which I enjoyed greatly, by the way. I
Good,
like the structure of fractals, and I like the way that I just like the whole thing of them.
I
I
really
actually
should do
thought-
them more. I don't know why
yeah.
I don't. I think it's just because it takes so long.
Yeah,
And I
well,
don't want to sit down and concentrate
Yeah.
on one thing for like that long. I don't know.
the one I did, I guess it lasted about an hour. I think I did like two in a row,
I
maybe.
think if you've
It
got a
was,
good group, you can do it in like an hour, maybe a little more, depending on which paths you get. Now, I haven't done
Yeah.
it. I think I've only done it once since they did the big update to Fractals, where like they actually like start you off with a short one, and then the medium length, and then the longer length. It's so like it's not completely random anymore. So you're not gonna like get 3 long ones and you're in there for 3 hours and getting really bored and annoyed. So I haven't
Yeah.
been in there I think I've been in there once since the update, so I really shouldn't talk about how long it takes. But you know what, I meant to go on and look exactly what level fractals I am. It's I should know this, but I believe it's the same across all your characters now. I think it used to
think
be
so.
that it was per character. Each character had to level up, but I think it's your
Pretty
count
sure, yeah.
now.
Yeah.
That was another one of the
Yeah.
big changes in the update they made. I think I'm like 12, 13, something like that in Fractals. I'm not super high, but I've done it enough that, I think I'm somewhere around there, like 12, 13, something like that.
I really like the fact that the fractals felt short, and I like doing a series of them, and I like how like there's like one big one that you do, because like the first one or two one that I did, we got the one where everybody's a char, which was really cool. I really like that one because it really felt like I was part of an invading army.
Yeah.
That was really well done. Like just the whole look of it felt really
I like
good.
that one too.
It felt like you're in a full
for its
on.
gameplay, not its principle.
Yeah, I know.
Not what
Like
it represents. I don't like it, but I like playing it.
what you're actually doing is pretty bad, but it's still cool. I mean, it's still really cool.
Escalade.
But I we also got like the Thomann over reactor for the last one, and
Yeah.
so it was fun to play through that. And the fun thing was it was my first real experience to really just keep going and going, like wiping and wiping, but just keep going back on that final boss guy.
Mm.
So it was like I I guess fractals are one of the closest things to traditional raids in
Mm.
Guild Wars 2. So it was really kind of neat to experience that because like it's not like a typical raid and there's only like five of us and it's
Mm-hmm.
you're not relying on the typical Trinity structure. It's just like you like had to follow those cool mechanics of like not of like watching where you're stepping and everybody laying in as much as they could, but then also trying to if you can support them or do it was just a really fun experience I found.
It
So I was
is.
really
Wouldn't it be cool if they made fractals like the first place where you could bring in like 10 people in a group? Like if they upped the number and they just
yeah
made like super hard fractals, or like when you got to like
that was
when you
cool.
got to like level 40 fractal or something really high, 40, 50, something, where it's really hard. Make it even harder, and then when you get up to that level, you can have like 10 people in a party, or each level you're allowed to have one more person in the party. How cool would that be?
Yeah, I mean like I feel like like the two strong things that I like most in the game, I think. Well, I guess there's three. There's the personal story, the living story, which I personally really love. I know a lot of people have minged about it, but I also like the fractal structure. I just wish they'd invest more in the fractals
Hmm.
by having like more like more different kinds, and just doing more stuff with them, like you're suggesting, like maybe even doubling it or just intensifying the rewards, making them more. Because there's so much you can do in that, and
Yeah.
especially with the whole like lore-based aspect of it, is that you can essentially go back in time, maybe even in forward in time. There's so many things they could do with fractals. I really wish they could just put a lot more dev time into the fractals because
Yeah.
it could really be a special thing that Guild Wars 2 has, or at least like the equivalent of quote unquote raid stuff, is
Right.
to really beef those fractal things.
I
Which,
hope they put something about the battle for Lion's Arch, or something with that, or something with Scarlet in there. Like maybe not the final battle with Scarlet, because that was kind of a solo thing, but maybe like restructure the hologram fight so that you can do it with five
yeah,
people.
yeah,
Something with the finale of season one can be a fractal, to kind of, because the fractals is kind of a way that stuff like that can be preserved. Like, because they've put the
yeah.
Molten Alliance dungeon in there, and they put the Thumb and Overreactor in there, though that was unique.
And the
Um,
Aether Blade Retreat
Aetherblade
thing.
Retreat they've put in there. So that's a way to like preserve that living story stuff, and that's a
Yeah,
way that temporary content can become permanent content, because there it is in the fractals.
yeah.
Well, our next question from John is, what legendary do you think you will eventually go for?
Eternity.
We all go, yes.
What I want.
Can I
It's
just
just so
say that
cool.
it is absolute BS that Sunrise and Twilight don't count for your legendary on your account? They need to fix that crap. That's
Oh,
absolutely unacceptable.
hmm.
I don't even have it yet, and that's absolutely unacceptable. There is no reason. They are just as hard to get as the other legendaries.
Hmm.
Why don't they count?
Hmm.
It's poopy.
I'd also want to get the Dreamer, which shoots My Little Ponies. So that would be awesome.
Nice.
Um,
Well, I am going for Sunrise. I would say I'm about halfway there. I basically have enough gold to get everything but the precursor, and Dawn just went up like another 100 gold this past week, and so I'm just I've basically
yeah,
completely given up on Sunrise until they have some kind of precursor crafting or something like that. Cause I've gotten very close, but I've never actually had enough gold to buy it directly from the trading post. It just keeps going up. and I can't make gold fast enough. And I hate the idea of buying it off the trading post anyway. So, but if I could craft it, it's like I don't care how much it costs. I will collect every single material that I have to in order to craft it. I don't care if it costs dark matter and ectos and all kinds of really expensive stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, until they come out with that, I've basically given up on it. I've got all the stuff. I have my Mystic Clovers and I have my Mystic Clovers, I have my Gift of Mastery, I have my Sigil of Strength, I have my Gift of Metal, and I have, except for my Ascalonian Tears, I need to do a couple more runs of the Ascalon dungeon for that, and I still need some lodestones and stuff. I basically have enough gold to get everything else I need except Dawn. So I would say I'm halfway to halfway to sunrise. I think it would be fun to also start working towards, now that we're going to be able to use the skin of our legendary on any of our characters. I really think that I'm going to go for Bifrost. Because I do love it, and but like I've mentioned, that's the only reason I didn't pick that, was because I have too many characters that I use staff on, and I don't know which I would want to use it on. But if I can use it on all of them, then that would be a good one to go for. So I do love the bows too. Kuzdu is really, really cool, and I love the footprint effect on that. I believe that's the long bow. Yeah, the Dreamer's the short bow.
Yeah, Dreamer's the short bow.
Yeah, Kuzdu's the long bow. I really like that. But the only one that would ever use that is my Ranger. And it doesn't really fit my tough Norn Ranger. I don't really think I would give her a flowery bow, so.
I would love to have like Bifrost for Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding...
it would fit my Guardians so well. Well, John has one more question, and that is, what is your opinion on Ascended crafting? Such as the costs, the requirements. Right. I guess that goes for both weapons and armor. I have no problem with Ascended crafting. I have not gone for any Ascended weapon or armor. Because again, I want to concentrate on my legendary. If I was not going for a legendary, I would think about going for Ascended. But I have no problem with the cost of Ascended being, astronomically high, because it's something to go for. It shouldn't be easy. It's meant to be the highest, most prestigious armor in the game, and besides legendaries, the most prestigious weapons in the game. So I have no problem with the requirements being super high and it being super expensive. Same. I mean that, and having to level up your crafting ability to level 500, that in itself costs an insane amount of money. Yeah. But that's fine to me, because that's just part of getting it.
Yeah, because it's just kind of like the structure of the game. I mean, like when you finish your personal story, you do have a lot of stuff that you can do as far as doing over and over again, but that's kind of what MMOs are about. And then our version of extended continuing content in the living story is really well done and really great for the living part. And then for as far as stuff to just do on a daily basis, if you want to log in daily, that's what this RNG crafting for Ascended weapons and legendaries is there for. And Guild Wars 2 has some pretty good rewards for you to do that, because just as you said, like the Ascended gear is the highest you can get, and legendaries have those really awesome effects. So you are going to get rewarded for doing all this stuff, but at the same time, there needs to be some kind of bar. Just because like people have been playing MMOs for so long, there's so many insane people that would just plow through these games and like play for 8 hours a day every day to get 50 billion gold in every single thing.
Yeah.
So you gotta be able to give some kind of obstacle to some of those people, and then the rest of us we just have to keep, hitting our heads against the wall until we eventually get it.
Yep. And that actually is a great segue to the next question, which is very related. And this is from Roy Rugani. And he asks, do you think that ascended weapons and armor will ever become sellable on the trading post? And do you think that they should be? I say absolutely not. No, 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 no. To go with this, he also says, I can't see why legendary weapons can be bought on the trading post, but not ascended weapons. I don't think legendaries should be tradable. Honestly, I really don't.
Yeah.
Because I think because that means that with pure gold, playing the game however you want, even spending real world money to convert gems to gold, if you're super retarded rich and that's how you want to do it, you can just buy a legendary. A legendary weapon should be, and ascended, should be something that you played the game to death to earn. And once you've earned it, you feel accomplished. If you simply buy it on the trading post, sure, you, either with real world money or with in-game time, you did earn that gold. You earned that gold to buy that, to buy eternity for 3,000 gold or whatever it is. But people who didn't just purely buy it for money, in other words, if it wasn't tradable,
Yeah.
if you don't buy that legendary, you have to fight with the Mystic Forge for those Mystic Clovers. You have to, you have to go out and buy your Icy Rune Stones from one single NPC in the world. You have to find him and buy it. You have to earn your Mystic Coins in order to make the Mystic Clovers. You have to go to Ore and buy your Obsidian Shards. You have to, what was the other one? Darn it, I lost it. Oh, skill points. You have to earn enough skill points to get the Gift of Mastery.
There's a lot of stuff.
Map completion. Map completion. If you simply buy it off the trading post, you don't even have to do map completion. If you have a legendary, that should mean that you spent all these skill points. You battled with the Mystic Forge. You got every single vista and point of interest and heart on the map. That is an accomplishment. That means you went around, you played the game, you played different aspects of the game, and you earned that. I don't even think legendaries should be on the trading post.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think it'd be a good patch thing for Arena to seriously just take them off of the trading post and not allow them to be put on to the trading post, because they should have that allure of being more distinct. And when you see it on the trading post, I can just buy this stuff. I mean, it costs a ridiculous amount, but I think it would be good for the economy of the game as well, to not have these ridiculous gold sinks that when people see it, they're like, oh, I wish I had, 8,000 gold or something, because it makes the gold more, worth more when you don't have these gigantic gold sinks of these legendaries, which everybody wants, but if you have it as something to buy, people are always going to think that. It's like, oh, I'm just going to keep farming the gold, because they don't want to do all the ridiculous amounts of things. So I think it's better to have them off of the trading post.
Well,
and
while I agree that they shouldn't be on there, I don't think that there's anything wrong with having a super crazy expensive item for people to long for, because once again, that's something that you can say, that's something I'm working towards. I mean, if legendaries weren't on there, then the highest price items would be the stuff like the permanent hairstyle kits and the permanent banker and the permanent merchant and stuff like that. Those items go for ridiculous amounts of gold. So you would still have something to look up to, and strive for. I think that you need that in any game, and that's also what Ascended and Legendaries are for. But I think that Ascended and Legendaries is something that you should have to earn by doing things in the game. I don't think that they should be on the trading post.
I think having precursors on the trading post would be good, because that's just part of...
Precursors have to be right now. Until there is another way to get them besides a random drop, they have to be.
Yeah.
Because if precursors were not tradable, the only way to get a legendary is if you are lucky enough to get a precursor drop. Nobody would go for legendaries until they got a drop. And then only if they wanted to, they would go for it.
I have to be honest and say that, all the ridiculousness things that you have to do for to get this legendary, for me, like I'd much rather do stuff that's A, actually engaging and more interesting than just farming all these different things to get this legendary. Like I'd rather there be things to do that makes it feel more satisfying.
Okay.
Like
Okay. This is something I've been wanting to talk about for like 2 months, but I never could fit it in, and this is kind of a perfect time with what
okay.
you just said. What I think 'cause they always said they've been saying precursor crafting, but they've also said, or people have also said, precursor scavenger hunt. And
hmm
this is what I think that would be awesome if this was the way to get precursors. If each precursor had a story behind it. Each legendary had a story behind it. And
Yeah.
you had to go on this epic quest on different NPCs, fight different monsters, go all throughout the world. And each one, it would be different for every precursor. I know this it would be a ton of work, so they probably would never do this. But like each precursor, there's a specific blacksmith in the world that creates this precursor, and they are the only person in the world that knows how to make this precursor, and that's why they're so rare. And you have to go hunt them out. You have to, go through the story, go through quests in order to earn, bring them certain materials in order to have them craft the precursor for you. And while you're doing that, you could learn like the background story behind what makes these weapons legendary. Where do they come from?
Yeah, see, because this is a good point for me to throw in. Like I like following both Guild Wars 2 and World of Warcraft. But the reason why I want to bring this up is that one of the good things that I feel that they did is that they have legendaries in WoW as well. They've had very few, very few. And the last expansion, they're going to continue this on into the next one, is that they brought this idea of a legendary cloak, and they made it a cloak so that it could be something that everyone could have, so that it wouldn't be like, oh, it's only an axe, so my class can't use an axe, so a cloak everyone can use. But the way that they structured it was that there's a really cool character who's like the last of the Black Dragons, this really smooth, cool little character. And like once you reach level cap, it's a totally optional thing, but you can basically from the beginning, you interact with him, and there's an actual like fully voiced like stuff with him that goes on, and he's like, oh yes, you do things for me, and I will help you get you a legendary item. And he's voiced really well, actually. But it's kind of cool because every raid that you did in the game, and then there's also other things where there's some PvP matches that you had to win. But every raid had a little item that you basically picked up in it, and then you basically had to combine it as you were going through. So you kept picking up these things, and with each of the new raids, once you completed each kind of thing that you had to collect and RNG for, there was like another sequence of the story that unfolded with this character, so that your cloak was basically being created
That
as
is
the story
awesome.
went on, and so then and the fun thing is that at the very last raid, you get to complete your cloak um, before or during the actual raid, so that you could actually use the cloak and the attributes it gives you, and it basically does the same thing that Guild Wars 2 Legendaries does. That when you equip this cloak, it does a proc that does a special animation for you, depending on your spec and stuff. But I think that was handled really well because that's the kind of legendary journey that I want to go on, is one that has a story to
Right.
it and makes you feel
Right.
engaged. And it's like, okay, now
Right.
this is the next level. He's doing this. It's like, okay,
And
it's
you
the raid.
have a memory of getting that item and going through these quests.
Yeah,
And you said, I went on this epic adventure in order to get this cloak. So why can't we say I went through this epic adventure to get this legendary?
exactly.
I didn't just gather a bunch of stuff, throw it in the Mystic Forge, and I got a sword, or
Yeah,
I
or
got whatever. And
like yeah. Sorry, yeah.
let's say, and like I want It would be so nice to have stories behind these legendary weapons and why they are so special and so fancy. And I know some of them, like you can say, oh, this one has, this is a throwback to Guild Wars 1, or this one, this name means something
Yeah,
in the lore, but there's still no connection. There's still no,
yeah.
like, well, okay, so this character forged this item, and now you can have it, you know? And they have
Yeah.
stories like that for Sahathan and Magdar, the two swords, the Ritlock sword.
Yeah.
Sahathan has a story behind it. That sword has
Mm.
a legacy. It had previous owners. It had powers. It was partly responsible for all this stuff, and so it has a story. Our legendary weapons should have stories like that behind them, and that would just be
Yeah.
so cool. Andra Herdina has a couple questions, mostly about the next, about season 2 speculation. Do you think that there will be a major one-time living story event in the open world? For example, opening the gate at Fort Vandal. I'm taking one time as meaning something like the Karka event, where it was a one-time thing that's going to, like, boom, this is the start of season 2. And the very first Halloween, when Mad King Thorn came and busted through the lion statue, that little cinematic that happened once in game. It wasn't like every time you logged in you saw, the first time you logged in you saw him do that. No, it was like a one-time thing. Either you were there or you were not there. And then there was disconnection problems and stuff like that, and so people complained. So I don't think they're ever going to do that again, like one single time event again. But I think there is definitely going to be some major event to kick off season 2. I mean, maybe not, Morgemoth is going to rise out of the ground. Season 2 starts. But
Nice if it did. Yeah.
that would be awesome. But something, we know that Belinda is going to, the Maguma Jungle. She's going to Brisbane Wildlands to investigate something. So I think that's really going to be, whatever she finds, whatever her little group discovers, is kind of going to kick it off. As for how big and spectacular of an event it's going to be, that we're going to have to wait and see. I don't necessarily think it has to be, fantastic with fireworks, but, whatever it's going to be, I think it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I think it might just be kind of what we've gotten used to so far with these last 4 ones. It'll be kind of a little bigger than that, but nothing gigantically big. I can't see. Like they'll probably just announce it, it's starting, and then it'll start, and all the stuff will happen. Because like the living story is basically just a sequence of one-time events, anyways. So that in itself isn't really anything special. I don't see them doing a gigantically huge thing for it, just because, as you're talking about, although they're introducing a lot of new technology and things for like with the mega server and whatnot, that's going to make things a lot easier.
Would you like to see some new open world mechanics in the new maps? As far as new open world mechanics, if you mean like boss mechanics, like if there's in the new area, if there's a new world boss, I think it would be fantastic for that boss to have new mechanics that we haven't seen before. And I think in the season 1 living story, they've done a good job of switching it up a little bit. There's no more just standing in one place and attacking the dragon's knee and it eventually goes down. There's none of that anymore. There is some kind of new mechanic with each new boss that we see. So I definitely think that we'll see that. I think we're going to see a lot of neat changes with the mega server when that all comes into effect all over the world. It's not going to come into effect everywhere immediately, but when it does go to everywhere, I think it's going to be really cool to see how that affects different events. You're going to always see more people, because if you go to a certain world event at a certain time of day, you know that you're going to see more or less people. If you go right after the day change, you're going to see a ton of people at each world event, because it's a new day, so people are getting their dailies basically for that world event. Whereas if it's right before, if you're catching like the last instance of Fire Elemental for the day, there's not going to be a lot of people there. But with the mega server technology, hopefully, even if you go on the last instance of Fire Elemental for the day, you're still going to see a bunch of people there, because it's going to consolidate all the servers.
It was always a wonderful experience, and still is, that whenever you're doing things out in the world, questing, and doing events, when someone comes around, it's
You're
like great. You don't
right.
even
You're
have to talk to
rewarded for
them,
seeing other players. You're rewarded for playing with other people.
and you actually
It's
want other
so
people to be
beautiful.
there. Yeah.
Right? If you are out
It's,
fighting a champion, you know, when you see another person come along, you're not going, "Oh shoot, they're going to steal my kill. They're going to steal my loot." No, you're going, "Woohoo, they're going to help me. This thing is hard to
exactly.
bring down. They're going to help me. I'm so happy to see someone else."
Which is such a novel experience, and like how like you like don't even have to
So
communicate
great.
like verbally. You can just do it physically by just physically helping each other out. You don't even have to verbally communicate.
Right.
You just have to see someone and be like, "Oh, sweet, some more people are coming." They could help, and then bugger off, and you all get stuff,
You
and
all
it's
get
like
your loot. Yep.
awesome.
Yeah.
I don't hate
It's beautiful.
90% of the community. Yay!
There is one more Guild Wars 2 question, and then we have an actually one not Guild Wars 2 question. The last one Andra asks is, though we probably won't get the Mordremoth fight in season 2, I don't know about that. Probably it's possible, very possible.
I think we will, but yeah,
How do you think the fight will look? Hopefully not like Zaitan.
yes. Everyone agrees it will not be like Zaidan.
Zaitan looked awesome, but
Apparently they play like crap. Yeah, so
I think by the time they actually, get to another Elder Dragon battle, I truly think that they are going to make up for Zaitan. I truly think that it's going to have some really awesome mechanics because, like I've been saying, at the end of season 2, it just got better and better as far as, implementing new techniques to fight the boss, new mechanics, new telegraphs. I think that by the time they get to the Mordremoth fight, it's going to be pretty spectacular and a lot of fun. And I'm looking
I'm like,
really forward
yeah,
to it.
I'm like thinking it's going to be very similar to in the way that they're going to have like a Zergy part, and then they're hopefully going to have like some kind of um the final part will be like a solo instance
That's a
where
good,
we like
yeah, I was just thinking
meet
about
up with
that. Have
everybody
part of
again
it be Zerg and have part of it be instanced. And
because
whether that
that's like
instance is I can't see a fight with an Elder Dragon having a solo final instance, but maybe a 5-man
they could still
thing
do
like
it. I
Zaitan
mean,
was.
well, like they they could still
Oh,
do it,
I just got an
especially
idea.
with like your like fellow characters, Rocks and Bram and stuff, can still essentially make up a party for you. And
They
then
can be heroes like in Guild Wars 1.
yeah,
If you
and I
don't
mean
have
like
5 people to play or 4 people to play with, you could use
exactly
them.
because like we've like seen this pattern throughout the entire living story is that they have a Zergy bit where lots of people can do group stuff, and they've just kind of refined that, and then they have the Zergy bit, and then they have the little solo bit that has more of the story, which I think is a perfect balance because that's the best way to do it. Is that
Yeah.
for the big raid stuff, don't put a lot of story into that because this is for people who want to get together with a lot of people and coordinate attacks and jump around and do insane fireworks, and then have the actual story for the people that want the story so they don't have to concentrate so much on
Right.
this giant telegraph and this here and that there. And I
Right.
also love the fact that they introduced these telegraphs, which is like a big thing from WildStar that they were talking about, and that ArenaNet just introduced it like with like the marionette stuff. They just it suddenly was just there. It's like, oh,
Yeah. Oh, it's
this is
just
kind of
making me
cool.
want to do the marionette battle again. I love the marionette battle. Add the marionette to, well, you can't really add it to Fractals because it was pretty much you had to rely
I
on like 100 people being there.
I w- I would love to see a Mordremoth, Elder Dragon battle similar to Marionette, and that like something that big just is like crashing around you, like that, and that you have to like fight it that way, and like it just, or even like the way that the Taquati system is, like you have like massive things that actually plow into it, but you're having to fight like the
Yeah.
little bits first and then get into it or something, or something I'm hoping for even more is it'd be really cool if like for the final instance, and this would be really awesome, is that like if what we know about Mordremoth is that she was indeed the presence that was inside Scarlet driving her nuts, is that it'd be so cool if like some kind of secondary character develops, like some kind of avatar of Mordremoth that's not like a 1,000-foot long dragon, but some kind of smaller being that's more one-on-one with us, that could interact with us more.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be so cool if we could then like encounter like the essence of Mortamoth within someone else or within like an avatar, and then that
Mm-hmm.
could be the instance battle where it's like more one-on-one,
Oh,
so that you could strike at the
you
heart of
you
the essence of
use
the beast.
them in order to bring down the
Yeah,
actual
like
Morgemoth because you like
yeah,
connect with their mind or something, and that
yeah,
goes
so
to
that it
Morgemoth's mind. So
yeah,
that's a
so
pretty cool
yeah,
idea.
because you could have Mortamoth actually physically there destroying cities and landscapes that you as the individual little you know being would be stepped on because you're fighting Godzilla, but then have you like find some way to get into his mind and battle the mind like they did with
Mm-hmm.
Kralkatork or something like that,
Yeah.
like to get into that essence aspect or
Yeah.
find that kind of weakness and
You could
that would
have
be
some kind
fun.
of simultaneous, like have the Zerg is outside fighting fighting whatever they need to fight, and then have the instance
Yeah,
part be you going in and doing this, but it's not in sequence. It's at the same time while the Zerg is out there.
yeah.
Then you either solo or with a group go in and do your thing.
You know, what'd be really cool actually. This just got my idea on this. On that idea, if you have like this big Zergy group thing fighting Mordramoth, let's say, and you can put all kinds of different, mechanics and telegraphs and things to do with this giant epic fight with lots and lots of people, but then at the same time, like the heroes of Bram and Rocks, or like some of them, some of that main group, are doing some kind of stealth operation to get at this, essence mind of Mordramoth or something, then you could choose which one you wanted to do, and and like either one would give you like the ending cinematic victory thing,
But you
so
choose
that
like
you could
how
choose
exactly
what
you bring
kind you
down
want.
Morgemoth.
Yeah, so that
Wow.
you you could essentially in char terms you could either be like Blood Legion or Ash Legion. You could just choose either one you want to do it as, and then you would get the
That's a cool
same
idea.
ending, so that way people who want the solo story bits don't have to do the big group stuff, and the people who want the big group
Mm,
stuff don't have to do the little story bits to get the best story bits. You just
that's a cool
do
idea.
either one. That's
Yeah,
what I want.
that's a
Arena it.
cool idea.
Do it.
I also want it to come full circle, and
Hmm?
whatever we're doing to bring down Morgemoth, I want it to involve Scarlet's technology that she's created.
Hmm.
So that totally come full circle. Yeah, we killed Scarlet, but we're using her technology and the things and the poison she developed and the technology that she developed, the
That'd be
weapons to
fun.
bring
Yeah.
down Morgemoth.
I really do hope that stuff that was developed in season one with her alliances and with her technology does not take a central part,
Not
but
just
is there
dissolve into nothing, at
in the
least
background. Yeah,
is there. Yeah.
yeah.
I hope so too.
That it like pops up occasionally, and that hopefully it does actually make some kind of importance in the end. Would be an awesome story element. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
definitely. We have one more question, our only non-Guild Wars 2 question, which will be nice to end this with. My friend Atsuma Kurin gave us a question, and he said, "What are your thoughts on the Elder Scrolls Online? And are you getting it, or have you gotten it? Have you played it? Elder Scrolls ESO.
What do you think, Madia?
I have never played it. I have no plans to get it or play it unless it eventually goes free to play. I might check it out. I have watched playthroughs of it though. I have watched quite a few videos of Bog Otter playing it, as well as a couple other people, and it looks really cool. I didn't like it. My very first impression of it, watching some of the beta playthroughs, I didn't find it very spectacular. But watching it a little bit more, it like I really did start to like the graphics and and the
Mm.
different things about it. Like I said, I have no intentions of playing it. I have no experience with the Elder Scrolls universe. I haven't played any other Elder Scroll games, sadly. Um, uh, so yeah, but I think it looks cool, and if it ever goes free to play, I will probably check it out.
I
What
think there's
about
a
you?
high. I think there's a high possibility for it going free to play. Um, although
Hmm.
I've like read a lot of shady bad things that they've been doing as far as like
I have
the
heard there's been
way like
some questionable things going on
yeah, I mean there's
that
like
makes it hard to play for some people.
well like like them like first, bringing out saying, "Oh, it's going to be sub based," and then, "Oh, we're going to have a cash shop."
I'll admit that
And
that
you
anything
know,
that's sub based turns me off right away.
they
I'll freely admit it. If I hear there's a sub fee, I'm like not interested.
they also kind of like went back on themselves because like the whole point of the game was to have like three alliances with the races were only on each alliance, right? And then they bring out this special edition where it's like, well, if you buy this special edition, you can play as this race that can play on any of the factions.
Mm,
It's like that kind of defeats the purpose. And this is just a total cash grab. And then
mm.
like a lot of the other things, there's been a lot of bad cash grabbing things in this. On top of like the sub fee makes you go, dude. And yeah, for me, I'm totally an unabashed non-supporter of ESO. I've never been that big in the Elder Scrolls series. Many ways because of like the last few games, like Skyrim and the other one, the story seemed alright, but I can't get into it because, and ESO continues this tradition. Every single race, I don't even know why they bother having different races, because every single race has the exact same body. They've just ripped off the head and put a different species head on it,
Oh.
and the skin tone is slightly different. I mean, it's exactly the same.
Mm.
Yeah, so I mean, like that's something that really blocks me from ESO, and but as well as like the whole um, issues about their sub fee
Mm.
and the cash shops, and I'm also not a fan of that style of graphics. So I'm much more
Mm.
drawn to WildStar, for instance. I'd be much more tempted to that,
But
which at least has.
ESO's graphics is more like Guild Wars 2 than WildStar, I would say.
Oh yeah, for sure. But like I mean, like for me, like the only realistic style graphics game I play is Guild Wars 2.
Mm.
Like, because personally, I prefer the WoW WildStar aesthetic
Mm-hmm.
look than to realism. Because just visually, I find it harder to see things on it. Which even in Guild Wars 2, I can find it harder to see things because they have the realistic look. It's kind of hard to
Yeah,
describe just because my eye problems. But
that makes sense.
and but the thing about this I find interesting this question is that like ESO is just released. WildStar will be releasing June 3rd, and then we've got this big features patch. And for any of our viewers and fans of the game, like, have you guys noticed that we're getting a lot more Guild Wars 2 commercials in the YouTube videos?
Yeah.
Which I mean, like, I've like almost never seen these before. Like, they rarely ever happen. And all of a sudden, it's like, what? Hey, that's Guild Wars 2. I know that. And it's like there's like all these commercials for it. So it feels like Arena is starting to like kind of rev up to something here now because like not only just the features patch, because of because like companies are always aware of each other, like the releases that they're sending
Yeah.
out. So I have this really strong sensation that it feels like we're gonna look at the Living Story season 2 coming out at least in May and no later than May because then that would
Oh, it can't
correspond
be later than May.
because that kind of corresponds perfectly with being kind of in between. Like ESO will have been out for about a good month or so, so people that tried it for a good month can be like, I don't know about this, and then they can think, oh, this Living Story thing has started up, and then other people waiting for WildStar might also even be, I'm having second thoughts about it, and then it's like a perfect time for Arena to start it up, as in May.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm hoping for and feeling for. So,
Yeah.
so
All right. I
time.
think we need to wrap this GuildGab up. Thank you for tuning in, and thanks for staying with us for this long. I think this ended up being a really long one. But
Yeah.
thank you so much to everyone who sent us questions. That was really awesome of you guys. You guys really came through, and thank you so much for that.
Domo arigatou gozaimasu.
Hi.
That's a very, very big thank you. So,
We'll see you next time, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.
auf Wiedersehen. See you guys.